Some people break after pain. Others become unstoppable because of it, and that difference changes everything. Because suffering affects human beings in two completely different ways. It either destroys identity or rebuilds it into something stronger. That's why the most dangerous people are often the ones who survive things that should have destroyed them emotionally. Rejection, failure, loneliness, betrayal, humiliation. Experiences that force the human mind to adapt or collapse. And once someone survives enough psychological pressure, fear starts losing control over them. That's when transformation begins. Because pain changes the brain. Psychologists have studied resilience for years, and one disturbing truth keeps appearing repeatedly. Human beings grow the most after emotional struggle, not comfort. Comfort keeps people predictable. Pain forces evolution. That's why some individuals become mentally unstoppable after suffering long enough. Not because they enjoy pain, but because they stop fearing discomfort. And once someone stops fearing discomfort, most limitations disappear. That's the part people misunderstand about confidence. Real confidence is not loud behavior. It's emotional certainty, the ability to continue moving forward even while afraid, even while exhausted, even while doubting yourself internally. Because unstoppable people are not fearless. They simply stop allowing fear to control decisions. And modern society creates very fragile minds. People are trained to avoid discomfort constantly. Instant entertainment, instant validation, instant distraction. The brain becomes addicted to emotional comfort. That's why small obstacles destroy so many people emotionally now, because discomfort feels unnatural to them. But psychologically strong individuals develop differently. They learn how to survive pressure, how to remain calm during uncertainty, how to continue functioning while emotionally overwhelmed. And over time, that ability becomes power. Because resilience creates emotional freedom. The more difficulty someone survives, the less external situations control their emotional state. That's why people who endured real struggle often appear calmer than everyone else. They already survived worse internally. And maybe the biggest transformation happens when someone realizes this: nobody is coming to save them. That realization changes human behavior completely. Because dependence disappears, excuses disappear, victim mentality disappears, and survival instinct takes over. That's when discipline starts replacing motivation, because emotionally strong people eventually understand something most people avoid accepting. Your feelings do not always deserve control over your actions. Some days you feel motivated, some days you feel empty, some days you feel exhausted. But unstoppable individuals continue moving anyway. That consistency changes identity over time, because repeated action rewires the brain. Neuroscience has shown that human behavior strengthens through repetition. The more often you overcome discomfort, the easier psychological resilience becomes. That's why mentally strong people are built slowly, through repeated exposure to challenge, repeated recovery from failure, repeated survival through emotional chaos, and eventually, their mind adapts to pressure instead of collapsing under it. That's why powerful people often have painful histories. Not because suffering automatically creates strength, but because surviving suffering changes perspective completely. You stop fearing embarrassment, you stop fearing rejection, you stop needing constant approval from others. Because once life forces you through enough darkness, small social fears stop feeling important anymore. And maybe becoming unstoppable is not about becoming emotionally cold. Maybe it's about becoming emotionally disciplined. Learning how to continue forward even when life becomes mentally heavy. Because life will always create uncertainty. Pain never disappears completely. Fear never disappears completely. But mentally strong people stop waiting for perfect emotional conditions before taking action. And that mindset changes everything. Because the people who eventually transform their lives are usually the ones who refuse to quit during the hardest moments nobody else ever saw.